Good afternoon. My name is Matt Hayashi, and I am the owner of Cannabis Clearwater, a compliance company in the cannabis space. And I am very honored to be part of the Japan Cannabidiol Association. Thank you, Takeshi-san and Ito-san, for allowing me to do this presentation. Today's presentation, we are going to talk about U.S. cannabis compliance and what the problems are and if there is a solution to these problems. So we will jump right in here. So some of the problems here are compliance, auditing, and testing. They will be crucial for companies to avoid litigation. What's been happening is because the cannabis market is a billion-dollar market in the United States, the companies have been trying to falsify data and staying out of compliance because they are more interested in their bottom line and their revenue versus trying to keep people from being safe. Really, they are falsifying data and they are staying out of compliance. Now, what does that mean? It means that, due to the lack of regulated pathways, there are pathogenic microorganisms that have trace amounts of heavy metals, pesticides, yeast, molds, that are used in the illegal cannabis markets. But what happens is they consolidate the illegal markets with the legal markets, and when they take it over to a manufacturing, then all of the product gets adulterated. Okay, and it does heighten the liabilities for the manufacturers and retails, particularly on the retail side, because consumers are trusting the manufacturers that there are no pesticides and that there are no yeast or molds that could harm them more. You have to remember, in the United States, there is medicinal properties. So people who are, have cancer, have glaucoma, are taking medication, and they are entrusting these retailers that these products that they're selling are safe because they are taking other medications and they want to avoid, they're trusting that these products are safe. So, it is an issue. People do get sick. People do get harmed by these products, and a lot of the manufacturers and testing are getting away with it. So it's a big problem. It's a very big problem, both in the THC and on the CBD side. So it is a recognized issue. The FDA is looking at this with a fine-tooth comb, which is the reason why the FDA is involved. So here, the FDA have been actively issuing warning letters to all of the companies, regardless if it's a lab, distribution, manufacturing, cultivation. They are gathering information and reading labels. A lot of it is label claims. And they are reading labels like it does cure THC, or this product will cure cancer, will cure glaucoma or diabetes, when that's not necessarily true. And to make those claims, you have to be a drug. From an FDA perspective, you have to be a drug, and they're not, and cannabis is not. So FDA has been issuing out warning letters to these manufacturing companies to say, hey, you have to recall your product because you are putting people in harm's way. The role of the FDA is to protect the people, and that's what they do, and they do it very well. In the cannabis market, again, they are trying to meet their bottom line, and by doing so, they expedite the labels without any review. They do not get signed off on it, and they just print the labels out and they put the labels on products. And that's not right. Okay, you can't do that. You have to have a notified body. There are certain steps, certain GMP and SOP and ISO steps to make your product legitimate. Especially in ISO 9001, which a lot of companies do not have in the cannabis space. They just don't want to do it because, well, they don't really need to. But if they really want to hit the standard that they really want to believe in, they should do it, because you are not only lowering your production costs, but you are also keeping your product safe, and you are also benefiting by allowing your product to be safe. And that's just how it works, and a lot of them are not doing it. So here, what's going on? So compliance is very important, and it's not taken seriously enough yet. Hopefully that'll change within the next 12 to 18 months. But here, again, it is important because a lot of the companies are falsifying labels, false label claims, failed genetic testing. There's a THC component. A lot of labs are falsifying their results because in the United States, the THC is the driving market. Well, the labs like to get paid, and they will falsify their data and their results to make sure that they do whatever it takes. They submit their data to the state, and the data is false, but nonetheless, they are still doing it. And if they get caught, the state will shut them down, and that's a good thing. We do not want, we don't want falsified data running around in this industry. Okay. Also, failed track and trace. That is an issue in California particularly, and not OSHA and safety compliant. Now you have to remember, all of this is under all of the ancillaries in this industry: cultivation, retail, distribution, manufacturing, and laboratory testing. So, it's not one or the other, they're all doing it. And that's the reason why compliance is such an important, an integral part of the industry. Okay. So what are we seeing here? Well, part of the labs are still, it is an integral part of the industry. And here we see 62% North America. Japan is going to be 9%, Europe is 9% for global cannabis testing. THC is the driving component in the United States, opposite of Japan. CBD, I believe it's 0.001%. So there are some testing qualifications, GMPs, and ISO 17025 that need to be in place. And if you do that, you will not only, again, increase your evaluation because you have those ISO marks, but you are being represented by a certified body who's doing the review to make sure you are doing what you're doing. Every 2 years, you get audited by a certified body if you're an ISO. You want that certification or that accreditation by those certified bodies because you are doing your part in making sure that your results are correct and you have a great product and people are safe. Now, the solution to all of this is really twofold. One, you have to hit the standard. You have to hit the standard of all of this. And I know a lot of the cannabis companies are not, okay? The other thing, it's gonna take education. We have to educate the consumers on the safetiness and the standardization of cannabis industry. They take these labels for granted when they should not. They should ask serious questions about these products, because if they don't, they may be putting themselves in harm's way. So those are two solutions right now that hopefully the United States will gravitate to, and will fix the problem within the next 12 to 18 months. So that's where that is, why it's important. So.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Cameron Hatton. Thank you for allowing me to present to you. This is a subject that is very personal and important to me, and this is about cannabis. I'm a former United States Marine and a sea captain and international yacht master and teach sailing. And I'd never had any experience with cannabis until I was in my 20s. And I had never tried it, was always told had the negative side effects of it. And as soon as I was able to have exposure and experience to it, I realized the medicinal benefits of it. And I really became passionate about learning more. And so I began to research and learn and teach myself about everything about this plant. And so now I am a member of the board of directors for the Veterinary Cannabis Society. I am a founder of the Hessel Farmers Grange. I am part of the Society of Cannabis Clinicians, and I am one of the judges for the World Premier Cannabis Judging Competition, the Emerald Cup. I'm also one of the co-founders of Fiddler's Greens. We are one of the oldest CBD brands in the United States. We were one of the first to start growing and working with CBD-rich cultivars over a decade ago in 2010. We are vertically integrated, which means that we grow all of our own plants. We manufacture all of our own products. We do all of the processing and packaging and shipping and education as well. Our farm, we are organic, sustainable, regenerative, which means we use no fertilizers, pesticides, chemicals, or solvents anywhere in our process. And we base all of our products on centuries-old recipes, but we also follow all of the current scientific research in how we make things. All of our products are triple lab tested for pesticides, heavy metals, contaminants, and cannabinoids in the parts per billion as per California state law, and also to make sure that we are giving the best clean product to all of our clients and customers. We do a lot of work with nonprofit groups for autism, cerebral palsy, elder care, with dementia and Alzheimer's, as well as veterans and first responders with PTSD. And our CEO has just appointed the California Industry Hemp Advisory Board, and she just completed work as a registered clinical trial assessing CBD benefits on long-haul COVID. Our products have won many awards in California, and we have strived to make sure that we create the best quality products that we can. So in the history of the United States, we have all throughout human history, cannabis and hemp has been used as a food, fiber, and fuel and medicine for all of written and archaeological history. But it wasn't until 1937 that the United States passed the Marijuana Tax Act, which essentially banned the cultivation of hemp in the United States, where they changed the terminology and called it marijuana. There was no debate and there was no scientific basis of these. It was strictly used as a control process and to allow government agents to keep their jobs after the end of prohibition. They found a new product to go after to be able to maintain their positions. And then the United States used their influence to help ban hemp and cannabis worldwide, as they did in Japan. In 1970, the Controlled Substances Act listed cannabis as a Schedule I. And again, there was no medical evidence for this. And there was the Schaefer report, which reported that cannabis was safe, effective, and should be legal and used for everybody, and that there were medical benefits for it. However, the Nixon administration listed it as a Schedule I with the maximum abuse potential, but no medicinal value. Again, in 1996, California was the very first state to pass Proposition 215, which created the medicinal cannabis market in the United States. And here in California, we have had a thriving medicinal market for the last 20 years, where anybody with a medical recommendation was able to grow 99 plants. And then those plants could be cured and processed or sent to different medical dispensaries within California. And it was a wonderful way for families to supplement their income and help bring in a little money and be able to grow something natural from the earth. This created a legal medical market in California, and that's been thriving for over 20 years. This also allowed more research to be done into the medical efficacy of the plant. And CBD was identified as a therapeutic compound, but it does not cause intoxication. And we want to talk about the difference between intoxication and psychoactivity. CBD is psychoactive in that it calms anxiety and stress, but it is not intoxicating where it does not change your perceptions of how the world is. And then in 2018, the United States, the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, or the Farm Bill, authorized the legal cultivation of hemp, and the DEA descheduled hemp, the flowers and the seeds. And the pre-harvest flower in the United States must test below 0.3% THC. Now, this differentiator of 0.3% THC has nothing to do with the difference between cannabis and hemp, as they are the same plant. The 0.3% THC differentiator was created by a Canadian botanist in the 1970s and had nothing to do with differentiating the two plants. This 0.3% THC content has been carried over into the manufacturing, and if a farmer in the United States cultivates hemp and it tests above the 0.3% content, they must destroy the crop in the field. However, this does not include the products that are made from this flower once it passes this threshold. So if a farmer is able to grow hemp that has 0.3% THC or less, they're able to harvest it and process it. But from there, they are able to make many different products from it that are able to exceed the limits of THC, even in legal states like California. And this is something that if you were to create a 16-gram cookie that was infused with hemp, you would be able to have much more THC in that would be intoxicating than we would be able to have in the legal California market. Now in 2022 and 2023, we are working on revising the Farm Bill, and what the FDA did not realize that they had actually legalized THC with this limit. And so now we're trying to bring the regulations into parity to make sure that they understand that it's all one plant. Now, what the US did right in 2018 is we legalized the hemp cultivation. We descheduled hemp and hemp-derived products with less than 0.3% THC. And the CBD as research has opened up. However, we are still not allowed to do THC research in the United States because the NIDA, the National Institute of Drug Abuse, will not allow any research in the United States that shows the medical benefit of THC. They will only authorize research that shows the deleterious or negative effects. So the United States, as well as the rest of the world, depend on other countries that have more common sense regulations, like Israel and Spain, for us to find research on THC, to the point where we found very many benefits of THCA, the acidic precursor of THC, on COVID and the symptoms of COVID. However, we were not able to carry on with the research because THC is so tightly restricted. Now, what the US has missed in 2018 with the Farm Bill is they assumed that the cultivation would focus on the fiber and the seeds for fuel and cloth and things that have been used throughout all of human history, and the seeds, which were one of the most nutritious sources of food on the planet. But they didn't address the CBD manufactured products. These products, once processed, can be made into thousands of different products, from edibles, smokables, vapables, topicals, which in the processing can make them much stronger and much more intoxicating, but still work within the framework of the 2018 Farm Bill. The vagueness in this language around the cultivation means that you can have very strong products that would still have no age-related gating towards those products, and that they are available to anybody without restriction. So we are working with the government on bringing those regulations into parity. We're trying to get the guidelines for manufactured products so that there's less than 2 milligrams per serving of THC. And our main goal is we want to have testing standards that show that the products and the flowers that are grown are clean and safe for human consumption, and that the testing is standardized, and that we know exactly what is going to those products so that we can share that with the end consumer. Thank you.